is whether I put this to unlisted or not. Oh shit, did I put this on unlisted? Did I? Because I was just checking out to see if things work. Oh, Shropshire Chris is there waving. Okay. I was testing the thing. I was testing it on unlisted. Oh, thank God for that. Hello, everyone. My name is Graham Hughes. I'm currently on Ginger Island in Panama, which is a tropical island owned by a nutter who, I don't know, swans around playing with his dog. Come over here. Come on, Pickle. Come and say hello. Come and say hello to the lovely people. There you go. Hello, Pickle. Hello, Pickle. Hello. Pickle says hi. Pickle says hi. Well, we got the camera working, Pickle. Yeah, that was quite stressful. Thanks so much to Google for making a phone that stresses me the fuck out. So, yeah, doggo, says Sophia Lance. Hello. Right, can get on with the show now. Welcome to Island Brew with Graham Hughes, here from the beautiful archipelago of Bocas del Toro in Panama. I'd like to show you out into the outer side of this. I'm kind of scared though. If I press the change the camera button, you change the back camera. I'm kind of scared that it might just revert back to the wrong aspect ratio. But at the same time, I think that if it does, then I reckon I can sue Google for causing so much mental stress. I think. Release the ginger files, yeah, indeed. There you go. Look, isn't that beautiful out there? It's the morning. It's very early over here. You can hear the birds having a little chit chat in the background. Let's see who's in the chat before we get started. We've got One Angry Pagan. We've got Sophia Lance, as I've said. We've got Elle in there. We've got Jimmy as well. Listen, on Wheels of Darren, or just Wheels Darren these days. Hey, listen, thanks for sticking with us despite all of our technical frustrations. I did watch that video back that I did this morning where I'm just like, fuck! And then it cuts off. It's quite funny. Turns out I am human after all. And I do get it. I mean, the thing is, with this problem with these phones, these Google phones, stretching the picture when streaming to Google's video platform, YouTube, you don't know what it's going to do. Like, it'll look 16 by 9 and then you press go live and it goes 20 by 9. Like, you see the edges just go like that. And then I've had it where the edges have gone like that and my heart sank and it goes 3, 2, 1. And then the edges have disappeared again. The edges have appeared again. And it's gone back to the right ratio. There seems to be no rhyme or reason. The only thing I kind of did differently this one, and also when you've got your phone, you've got to kind of like lock it into, so you can't have auto rotate on. You've got to lock it into horizontal mode. But then when you're actually setting up the stream, it's in portrait mode, where you put the information in. So you're kind of holding your phone at a bit of an angle, just in case it flexibility won't. But yeah, just bunch of stuff. I thought I did everything right. Thought I ticked every little box of the little 15 quirks that you've got to do in order to get 16 by 9. And yeah, Google YouTube decided that it wasn't going to allow that. Anyway, yes, apparently Badenoch was pretty fucking grim pretty awful at Prime Minister's questions, which is not to no one's surprise. Yeah, that's Sophia Land saying, so standard PMQs and Badenoch then. She's very bad at it. But first of all, I want to talk about Iran and what's going on in Iran. There's another cargo ship. It's the third cargo ship that's been attacked, hit with missiles, on fire. It's a Thai cargo ship with a Thai crew on it. The Thai military have helped with getting the crew off the ship. Just an absolute fucking quagmire. But the thing is, I have a feeling that both the US and Iran are going to walk away from the wreckage of all this claiming that they won. I know that sounds like a mad thing to say, but just stick with me, because it seems really evident that the US and Iran are fighting two very, very different wars. Um, the US is fighting a war of what they think is like a decisive military victory that can never happen. Like they are in fantasy fucking land. It's like the IRA believing that if they blow up enough pubs, then uh, Britain will fall. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. Okay, you're going to kill a lot of people. You're going to bring some attention to your cause, I guess. But regime change, there is absolutely no way on earth that a bombing campaign like this by the United States will result in a change of regime in Iran. It's just not going to happen. Meanwhile, while the United States is trying to do the impossible, the Iran is fighting a war of survival and endurance. They know they can't defeat the US militarily, so their strategic goal is just to survive long enough for the political will, of which there's very little in America, collapses, and that could be in a few days' time. Now, I guarantee that when that happens, and it will happen, whether it's in a few days, or a few weeks, or a few months, I don't know, but when it does happen, Trump is going to do a victory lap. He's going to say, and Hegseth, they're going to say, yes, we knocked 7 stages of shit out of Iran. It's going to take them a generation to rise up again. We bombed them back to the Stone Age and all this shite, right? But so they're going to say, oh, we won, right? And meanwhile, in Iran, they're going to say, oh, we survived, and therefore we won. We survived with all of our borders intact. There's 90 million people live in Iran. There's a fundamental strategic disconnect in this whole ridiculous affair. I just, both sides are going to lose and both sides are going to win. I can tell you that now. They're going to lose because Iran is going to lose a lot of its capacity to cause trouble and to sell oil, and a lot of Iranians will die because of American actions, either in the first wave of bombing or because of the grim circumstances that will come afterwards when Iran has very little money and very, very few options. And it's not like people get bombed into submission. They don't. They get bombed into resilience. Case in point, did you know that an entire region of Ukraine was liberated yesterday? I'll probably pronounce it wrong if I try and say it, but it's an area off the Dnipro River, and it's now been fully taken back over by the Ukrainians. It's hardly been mentioned in the news, obviously because a lot of the oxygen, political bandwidth has been taken up with what's happening in Iran. Will Israel let the US stop, i.e. They will keep going knowing the US will defend them? Maybe, yeah, that's true. Or what's wrong with my typing today? I don't know what's wrong with your typing today. Random fun fact, grey foxes are a genus outside vulpes, foxes, and is the most basic canid species alive today. We are to consider them to be foxes. That means all canids are foxes. Well, that's cool. She was pathetic at PMQs. Look out, there's a confetti chunky about. That's really good. But the Trump needs a distraction from a certain set of files. Well, I don't know, I get that. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, what about the Epstein files? But the reality is, and it's a horrible thing to say, but the vast majority of Trump voters do not give a shit. They don't care. There's nothing in those files that will stop them from loving Trump. They love Trump more than they love their own children. You think of a mother who still goes and visits her, serial killer son in the prison, because it's her son. and she'll always love him, even though he's a fucking serial killer. It's just the way it is. Trump fanatics, people with Trump's derangement syndrome, are the people who support Trump, not the people who don't. They are literally deranged. They are driven. They've been driven mad by years of exposure to toxic elements like lead and Murdoch, and they just don't. Their brains just don't function right anymore. But unfortunately, because of the Dunning-Kruger effect, or just because of the basic architecture of human brains, your brain can't tell you there's something wrong with your brain. Your friends can. Your family can. I think there's a set of Mandy files out at 1 p.m, I think. Well, that'll be out today, won't it, then? That's now, isn't it? But yeah, I agree that, yeah, that certain elements of this is Trump trying to win back some political capital, but I really don't think it'll make any difference. Like, he's not going to get charged for anything, is he? Because he's above the law. His very Supreme Court, the Supine Court, made sure of that, didn't they? You know, if so, like I said, there's a good chance that both sides in this will come out, Iran and the US, will come out claiming that they've won, both of them. It's going to be a weird situation. But also, this is kind of exacerbated by the fact that the Trump administration has just got some really very unclear war goals. You know, that they have struggled to articulate a consistent reason for going to war. Iran apparently is rebuilding its nuclear weapons program. There's a claim that Iran threatened to destabilize the Middle East. I mean, well, it's been doing that for a long time, hasn't it? Sorry, I've still got a cold. I was supposed to go into town yesterday in the evening to do me to get out the house while the varnish dried on the floor of the house, but we weren't even close to getting the varnish down yesterday. We were still very much putting down the wood filler between the planks. So yeah, didn't get a chance to do that, unfortunately. And there was live music last night as well, so a bit upset about that. But that's why I'm still at the boat dock. Otherwise, I'll be doing this on my laptop from Boca's Town, which I thought would be fun, because then I could do my super chat animations, I can do the confetti, I could do all that kind of stuff. Can't do that from the island. Anyway, sorry, I'm gonna have to blow my nose, but I will spare you your blushes. I will turn the camera around so you can look at the nice vista while I blow my nose, and I'll turn the mic off. One sec. Would have been nice to leave the sound on just because of the birds sounds, but you don't hear me blow my nose. Hi, says Alex French. Hi, Alex. How are you today? Also, the July 24th ruling on Flump versus US said foreign policy was always an official act. Random fact too. One angry pagans with the random facts. Elephant seals are the largest species of caniform animals, more closely related to wolves, foxes, etc. Yeah. Yeah, elephant seals. It's mad, that, isn't it? Isn't the closest relative to the whale, land relative, is a hippopotamus? Which kind of makes sense. You know, a river horse. I mean, who looked at a hippopotamus and they were like, what should we call that massive thing in the river? And they're like, should we call it a river monster? No, let's call it a river horse. A hippopotamus. How does that mean? How does it? Okay, I don't name these things. Nothing to do with me. Anyway, so yeah, we've had. In fact, you know, I was going back to the reasons that America have started bombing the shit out of Iran. The claims that Iran is building a nuclear weapons program, but they said last summer that they'd wiped it out. So did they wipe it out? Were they lying then, or are they lying now, or? claims that Iran has tried to destabilize the Middle East, or whatever. I mean, it's been going on for decades. But then, if you want to make that argument, what about Israel? Is that not trying to destabilize the Middle East? What about the recent spat between the UAE and Saudi Arabia over supplying weapons to the government and the rebel forces in Sudan? What about Saudi bombing Yemen, the Houthi? How about what's happening in Lebanon, in southern Lebanon, with Hezbollah, and Israel attacking Beirut? Is that destabilising the region? If you're going to say we've got to invade this country to stop them destabilising the region, then I think that the next place you've got to go, well, actually, the first place you've got to go, if you're going to talk about destabilising a region like the Middle East, I think that's Israel, mate. I mean, I respect Israel's right to exist, but if you're going to get down to brass tacks, it does destabilise the region. It absolutely does. It's a bit of a thorn in the side of the Middle East. If you look at the map, it looks a bit like a thorn in the side of West Asia. Okay, so yeah, also this idea that the calls for the regime change, and I mean, yes, regime change is possible in Iran. It absolutely is. It's possible anywhere. I'm never one of these people who just believes that anything is not forever. We're human, and things suffer from entropy, and things just fizzle out, and people change their mind, and generations come up wanting something different. It can happen. It can definitely happen. But not like this. Not like this. I will guarantee that of the people who were marching, who are still alive, at the beginning of the year in Iran against the authoritarian regime, the theocratic regime that runs Iran, I would argue that, like, some of them at least will currently, maybe a lot of them, I don't know, right? This is just a hunch. I've not spoken to any of my friends in Iran because it's very difficult to talk to anyone in Iran at the moment. But I would say that they're probably the main thing now is going to be survival of themselves and their families. Not regime change. Regime change, once you start dropping bombs on people, regime change becomes the last thing on their mind. Case in point, Ukraine attacked. What happened? Did people rise up and say, no, we need to get rid of our terrible leader, Zelensky, who was duly elected by the people in 2019? No, they didn't. In fact, they did the opposite of that. Support for Zelensky went through the roof. So I mentioned before, like the Blitz. Like, did the Blitz make British people say, "Oh, fuck this Winston Churchill fella, we need to get rid of him. We need a whole regime change"? No, it didn't. To make people more angry against the Nazis, the Germans. It's kind of crazy, but it's true. Africa and West Asia have so much potential for scientific discovery too, so depressing. Yeah, the kangaroo was named because there was a Scottish guy trapped in the bathroom. A kangaroo. There was an old myth that kangaroo meant I don't know. And someone said, what's that? Bouncing along. And an Aboriginal said kangaroo, as in, I don't know what that is. And then that was it, but that's not true. I don't think that's a true story. I think it's just a bit of a myth. But yeah, so the White House continually struggling to say, well, are you trying to liberate the Iranian people? Are you trying to shut down the nuclear program in Iran? I mean, there were still negotiations going on when these bombs started dropping, and the Iranian delegation was prepared to go further than even what was agreed under the Obama administration, which was quite, it was quite far-reaching in terms of weapons inspections and, well, not weapons, but uranium, nuclear material checking that they're not, it's only being enriched enough to make fuel rather than make nuclear bombs happen. The messaging from Trump obviously has been inconsistent and contradictory, and he's called for Iran's unconditional surrender, but it kind of like evokes this like World War II style outcome where a defeated state formally capitulates. But the White House itself has like redefined what it means. Like, so while Trump is saying we demand unconditional surrender, right? But White House officials are suggesting that the surrender does not require Iran to actually admit defeat. And they're saying that the US is going to declare victory once Iran ceases to be a credible threat. So it's like this weird kind of mirror universe that we're living in at the moment, where we can see something taking place in front of our very eyes. It's clearly a war, but they're not calling it a war. It's a special military operation. And we can see that the Trump administration have no real clear objectives on this. What do they want from Iran? Do they want what do they want from the Iranian people? What do they want from the Iranian government? If they can't even make up their own minds on that, then what hope is there to get any kind of peace settlement? And this war will not end in peace. This war will not end with a peace settlement. This war will end when America stops dropping fucking bombs and goes home and says, yeah, we won. America, fuck yeah. And I just, yeah. Even sort of there's a bunch of problems with this as well. If the US do go down that route and say, well, we've just won our not war, right? So we've won the not war, we've had victory. They declare victory, but then the Iran continues missile strikes, or there's an Iran-backed terrorist action in America that results in the deaths of high-profile American politicians or something like that. That's going to make that victory look very shallow and unrealistic, right? I can see why you moved. Trump has no understanding of history. Yeah, we've said this before, haven't we? He's got no understanding of what he had for fucking breakfast. He's forgotten already. We demand unconditional surrender, total victory, unlimited rice pudding. Yeah. Iran is like a bad parody on Iraq. Yeah. We've always been a military operation with East Asia. Very good. It depends. Why are they doing this after dismantling US aid? The goodwill towards the US will go down more than we can imagine, says Maggie Pye. Maggie, you're not wrong. Maggie, honestly, you're completely on the money there. Like, if America voted in a referendum to embark on a campaign to make America the most hated country in the world, I really don't think they could do a better job right now. I really don't think they could do a better job. Like, people are just turning their back on America and just like, we are so sick of this place. We're sick of this, their attitude, their arrogance, their ignorance. I mean, it's this heady mix of arrogance and ignorance, isn't it? I don't know what I don't need to know. And it's like, come on, really? But, yeah, this is going to end, I think, with the US declaring victory and Iran declaring victory. It's going to be the maddest thing ever of like in modern warfare. Iranian leaders, they know they can't win a conventional war. They're not even trying. They're not even trying to stop America from, I mean, there's not much they can do, America and Israel. They're just firing rockets all over the Middle East and just hoping that will put pressure on the Americans and the Israelis to pack it the fuck in, which I think it will. Honestly, I really think that this will work. And this logic, it mirrors other sort of asymmetric conflicts. If you want to look at the Vietnamese War, go to Vietnam, they will claim they won that war. The Vietnamese will claim they won that war. America claims it won, by the way. Claims it's achieved its objective. I don't know what the fuck the objectives were. Kill a bunch of, Viet Minh children and kill a bunch of soldiers, I guess. I mean, but you go to Vietnam, and well, how did they win? Well, they survived. You go to North Korea, they think that they won the Korean War. Well, actually, the Korean War technically is still ongoing. It's only technically a ceasefire. There's never been a peace agreement, Never been a peace agreement. What's this? Oh, my super chat. Hey, my super chat. If anyone wants to drop a super chat, I do have my super chat. Bit of driftwood with super chat etched into it. So yeah, I mean, Iran, like a lot of sort of hermit states, prides itself on its endurance and surviving this onslaught from the US and Israel will reinforce the regime's narrative that America is the great Satan, America and Israel are causing all these problems in the world, and the only way that Iran can fight back really is by doing what it can in terms of funding proxy wars, funding the Houthis, funding Hamas, funding Hezbollah, and if anything, this is just going to make the Iranian regime double down on that, and the Iranian people as well, who are still there. I know there's a very vocal diaspora of Iranians, rich Iranians who left in 1979 and their kids. I appreciate that they very much would like it if the regime fell and there were no more ayatollahs and they had a proper democracy. But here's the thing, right? Iran has a bit of a democracy. Not a lot, but it has a bit of a democracy. I remember when it was back in 2009, around that time, when Ahmadinejad was the president. Do you remember him? They got rid of him. Not by an armed insurrection or a palace coup or a revolution. No, they had an election and they just elected somebody else as president. It's just the supreme leader, which is appointed by, there's a group of like 80 clerics or something from around Iran who get to vote on that, on who they want the supreme leader to be. It's effectively like, for the Iranian people, it's like the Pope. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't get a direct vote on the Pope. It's the cardinals that go to the Vatican, right? They have the same sort of system over there. The Ayatollah, and we've got a new Ayatollah Khamenei now. He's elected by this council, right? All things being equal, if it was just about religion, if it was just a position like the Archbishop of Canterbury, what would it matter? Do you know what I mean? It's just that. In Iran, the clerics have got so much power over sort of everyday life, and they are, by and large, incredibly regressive and oppressive people, as far as a lot of Iranians are concerned. Oh, Saz, thank you so much. Oh, Saz has sent the most loveliest super chat. Just saw that. Lovely Ginger Island and Pickle. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. First super chat of the day. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you. Really appreciate that, Saz. Hey, Pickle, come in. We got a super chat, girl. We got a super chat. Come and say hello. Saz gave us a super chat. Saz she gave us a super chat. How good is that? It's pretty good, isn't it? You like that, don't you, Pickle? You like that, don't you, Pickle, you mucky pup? Should we give you a shower later? Should we give you a shower? Should we give you a shower? Would you like that? She hates the water. She hates it. Agua? 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 No? You like me to bang at your head though, don't you? It's the kind of, it's the kind of journalism that we all should, be aspiring to. I want people telling me what's going on in the world while sitting in a hammock and playing with a cute little dog. Oh, Pickle. Pickle actually barked yesterday. Do you want to know why Pickle barked, right? I was here on the hammock, and Ishmael had just been to see his mum and dad, and his mum, because she's lovely, made me some fried chicken, and he brought it in a little box of fried chicken. And I was like, oh, thanks so much, with some smashed plantains in. And Pickle saw it, and she's like, I want that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Pickle, it's for me. It's my fried chicken. And she actually barked. And it's like one of those things, when you know someone who's really quiet and subdued and like maybe a bit of a wallflower, and then like one day they lose their rag about something, and it has all the more effect because you're not used to seeing them like that. She hardly ever barks. So I did give her a bit of chicken. Don't worry, I didn't give her the bones. I know I'm not supposed to give chicken bones to dogs. Anyway, new Pope, not a fan of Trump, I gather. No. Well, I mean, how could you be? She's stinky. No, she's not stinky. She's just not. She just doesn't like getting wet. She just won't get in the water. But she's not stinky, no. She's not stinky, and she doesn't have fleas, and she's quite healthy, and she seems quite happy. We take her to see the vet once a year. Take her over. She doesn't like going on the boat. That's the only thing. But we can get her to sort of calm down. If it's a nice flat day on the boat, we can get put her on the boat and make sure she's got all her whatever she needs, injections, medications, whatever. Yeah, she's a good lass. She's a good lass. Careful with fried chicken, sometimes garlic or onion powder. I've taken any kind of coating off. I'm not allowed to say that as an atheist Catholic. What are you not allowed to say? Tell me what you're not allowed to say. In fact, I'm going to press this button here, which should hopefully give me the live chat. There we go. Cool. Look at this immigrant lazing around on his hammock, on his flat screen TV. Probably got Tennant Super in that flask. Where's my flat screen TV? Where's my flat screen TV, Wayne? What's he talking about? What's he talking? It's you. You're watching me on your television, Wayne. It's your It's not my. Just because I'm on your television doesn't make it my television, Wayne. It doesn't work like that. How many times do I have to explain? Anyway, but we were talking about Iran. How just like so much of this, doesn't it feel like Groundhog Day? Doesn't it? We've seen this before in my lifetime. I've seen it in Iraq and Afghanistan. But also before I was around Vietnam. Just these fucking forever wars that America sort of relies on this overwhelming firepower. And what did it achieve? What the fuck did it achieve? I'll tell you what. In Iraq, I had no love for Saddam Hussein. He was a brutal dictator. And he gassed his own people up in the north of the country in what's now Kurdistan. Right? No love for him at all. Kurdistan was given autonomy, its own autonomous region, in 1991. It's still got its own autonomous region. The capital's called Erbil. And it does its own thing, It's had its own flag, it has its own elected representatives. It's doing all right. Getting rid of Saddam Hussein, right? Not only did it set the stage for the rise of ISIS and the horrors that came from that, and therefore the instability led to um, the the war in Syria, the revolution in um, Egypt that got rid of Mubarak, but then replaced him with the Muslim Brotherhood, out of the frying pan into the fire. Um, but I met quite a few Iraqis around the Middle East, especially in Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, who had actually moved out of Iran since the invasion because they were Christians. There were a lot of Christian Iraqis, and under Saddam Hussein's regime, they were afforded rights. They were given legal protections. Those rights and those protections were taken away once Saddam Hussein fell. Saddam Hussein used to have Christians in his government. After he went, the new regime that rose up didn't have any, I don't think, any Christians at all. Who in Iraq, I mean, don't forget, this is an area where Christianity predates Islam. So the Christians who live in Iraq are very proud of their roots and the fact that they've survived as a distinct group all this time, and a lot of them left. And so I'm not defending Saddam Hussein. I think he was a monster, but if America's intention was to make Iraq a better place for people to live in than it was under Saddam Hussein, I don't know if they did. I really don't, especially once ISIS swept into town and took Mosul and Kirkuk. And so what was the objective in Iraq? Well, we're gonna first of all, it was to stop the weapons of mass destruction, but there weren't any. So then we had what they call mission creep, where like one mission sort of turned into another one. So then it became, okay, well, we'll get rid of Saddam Hussein, and they found him and put him on trial. But also at the same time, they tried to this crazy de-Baathification of Iraq, which was just absolutely doolally. I mean, it was proper bonkers. Even when the Nazis were defeated at the end of World War II, the Allied powers were smart enough to realise that you can't get rid of absolutely everyone who had anything to do with the Nazis and start again at some kind of ground zero, year zero type thing, like that they had under the Khmer Rouge in the 70s under Pol Pot. Pol Pot, who wouldn't have fucking got to the position that he did get to had it not been for America destabilising the region by going into fucking Vietnam. There's another story. But yeah, they wanted to have the kind of big reset of everything. But like, they realised in 1945 that if they did that, there'd be no one to do the bureaucracy, there'd be no one to do the administration to keep the state of Germany, and it was split into East and West Germany soon after, but to keep the administrative functions going, they needed to keep certain people in post. They had no choice, even though those people are totally fucking, I mean, it went beyond collaborating with the Nazis. These people were Nazis. They were fucking part of the Nazi party, but then you had to be. There's a lot made of the fact that the Pope, what was his name? Pope Benedict, who his real name was it Joseph Ratzenberger, was it? Something like that. He was a member of Hitler Youth when he was a kid, but he had to be. I'm not defending him because I know there was a bunch of stuff that he he facilitated some really horrific abuse of children while he was in charge of that particular part of this before he was Pope. Anyway, but yeah. So they left people in post. But in Iraq, if you read the book, The Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein, which is really good, really, really recommend this. she talks about how they had this idea that they would like completely wipe the slate clean and start all over again. This is like the ultimate expression of Milton Friedman's Chicago School of Economics thinking of this shock doctrine, this idea that you give a big shock to the system, and then it's like giving a shock to a patient to restart their heart, and you get your economy going. And you see people like Javier Milei in Argentina. He's a big fan of this kind of shock doctrine. He thinks, fuck everything up and then see what happens. You could argue that Farage is one of these shock doctrinists as well, and Trump. We need to do shocking things, and that sort of wakes people up from their reverie, and then we can make change happen, and we can reshape the world into a world that we want. And isn't it weird, right? Isn't this weird, right? We live in this society where we have this sort of this reverence for this bullshit Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged, libertarian, ultra fucking capitalist bullshit. But at the same time, people fucking love their socialism, don't they? Have you noticed that? When they get diagnosed with cancer, or they, need to go to hospital for an operation, or they need to, get the bloody, that they need to get their medication. Capitalism's great until I need stuff for free. Yeah, socialism stops becoming a dirty word. You look in a way that talk about the medication over there. They talk about our NHS. They call it socialised medicine. We don't want it because it's socialised medicine. But at the same time, they have a fucking socialised military. They have 1 million people working for the American military in one capacity or another, and nearly all of them are paid directly from the taxpayer. It's funny that, isn't it? And we often have this discussion when anything about the North Sea oil comes up. Have you noticed this? All you people that on Facebook and that who are like mad advocates for the free market economics, Milton Friedman, Chicago School of Economics, the market. If you've got a problem in life, just ask the market. The market will always solve it. The market will always come up with the right idea. The market's always correct and good and awesome and pure. Until North Sea oil comes up, and then people say, "Oh, we need to make money out of the North Sea. We need to make money." And I'm like, "We're not going to make any money. What are you talking about? Are you fucking stupid? We need to make money out of it. How are you going to make money, dickhead? Do you work for the fucking oil company? Are you the CEO of that oil company, of BP or Exxon or fucking Royal Dutch Shell? Are you the fucking CEO of one of those companies? Do you work for one of those companies? No. What the fuck it's got to do with you then? It's like saying we need more Woolworths. Okay, cool. Why? Because that'll make the country better. Okay, but do you have any stake in Woolworths? Do you work for Woolworths? No, but we need them back. We need Woolworths. It's very important. Okay. It's a British thing. We need to take that Woolworths. But the worst thing is about the sort of mentality about the oil is that people have it in their head that like oil is somehow a social enterprise. Like it's a co-op or something. That if we take oil out of the North Sea, we all get a share. We don't. We have to fucking sell it in dollars. There's a clue in the currency. We have to sell it in dollars to ourselves. And we have to pay the going rate for Brent crude. Okay? Brent crude named after Brent, the shipping area in the UK. How much does that barrel go for? Can you tell me how much it goes for in pounds? No, you can't sell it in pounds. You can take that fucking oil out of the fucking ground from beneath your feet in the UK. Don't forget about the offshore stuff. You can do it. Go to fucking, I don't know, the middle of the Lake District, right? Drill down, frack for some fucking gas, frack for some oil, right? Find yourself some fracking oil, destroy all the environment, get your fracking oil out, and then do we get a discount? No. But it's our oil. We pull that, yeah, but you don't get a discount. Okay, we do get the profits though, don't we? No, basically all the big oil companies are massive tax avoiders, so we make fuck all out of them. In fact, we usually just fucking subsidise these motherfuckers like a bunch of dickheads. What, we subsidise foreign companies to come in. Well, technically they're based in London. Not that they pay tax in London, but technically they're based in London. Right. So oil, surefire way to make loads of money. Is that right? Is that right? Is that a surefire way to make loads of money? Yeah, absolutely. Think of all the countries with oil. Angola, Libya, Nigeria. Oh, they're swimming in it. They're so rich. I mean, they've got a per capita income of about £1,000 a year, but apart from that, the Venezuela is so rich. It's all the oil. It's made it so rich. And did you know that countries who haven't got any oil, like I don't know, Switzerland, they're doing so badly. Oh my God! We have all these if you watch like the TV, do you remember TVs, right? They have adverts. They have these adverts for these kids, and they're trapped on these alpine slopes in this country, this landlocked country of Switzerland, where there's no oil, and they're forced to just like walk 10 miles a day just to, get to a Rolex watch. It's awful. It's an awful situation. They have these adverts, so we give money to people in these poor, unfortunate countries that don't have any fucking oil. In the movie Blood Diamond, set in Sierra Leone, there's a bit where they go through like a village or something, and I can't remember whether it's an old man who says this or whether it's one of the main characters, but essentially it's along the lines of like all this trouble being caused by these diamonds, and he's like, yeah, let's hope they don't find oil, because then our troubles will really begin. After walking through a village where everyone's dead and the whole village has just been set on fire. Let's hope we don't find oil, because then our troubles will really begin. And there's this huge disconnect in people's heads between the sort of the ultra-capitalist mentality of the actual people who have positions of power in the world, your likes of Elon Musk and stuff. There's a huge disconnect between him and down on the ground, the reality of, do we make much money from our oil? The answer is no, not really. And maybe you could say, oh, well, but jobs, Graham, it supplies jobs for people to go and work on platforms. Fuck that shit. Honestly, I say this with my whole fucking chest. Fuck that shit. It's a shit job. It's like coal mining. It's a fucking shit job. We shouldn't be putting humans down into fucking mines, and we shouldn't be putting them on highly explosive fucking oil wells, or sending them down as divers to dive the fucking bends to get energy that we can literally take from the fucking sky. We can take it from the sun. We can take it from the fucking wind. Oh, but what about we don't have enough batteries? Yes, we will. When we have 30 million fucking cars on the road, and they're all electric, and at night they all plug in to the homes, which are two-way connectors to the grid, and all we need to do is put the power in the 30 million fucking cars overnight. Move it from one car to the other. It's fine. It's not beyond the ken of mankind, okay? Of humankind. Fucking hell. No, Graham, we've got to get that oil. We've got to get... What's this white man? What is this What are you talking about? You don't own these companies that are going to take all the fucking money. We don't get a discount, and our fucking energy bills are so high because they're tied to the price of the highest costing commodity in the energy mix, which is gas. It's not solar. It's not wind power. It never is. They are the very, very bottom. The very bottom, yes. If we did go to net zero, we would be probably still on that price calculator, and it would be nuclear, which is relatively expensive, as the most expensive commodity in the power mix. However, the supply of energy, the cost of the supply to energy to a nuclear power station doesn't change much. Because we can get our uranium from many places around the world, or whatever radioactive material we're using, and it's generally, places like Australia. And I don't think the US is going to start bombing Australia anytime soon. I don't think that Vladimir Putin is going to invade fucking Australia. Okay? So, we have something with nuclear, and we have something with wind power, and we have something with solar, and coupled with a vast matrix, an array, a giga matrix of cars that have these big fucking batteries in, that between them can store more energy than Britain can use in a fucking month. When there's 30 million of them. Think about it. But what if the sun doesn't shine? What if the wind doesn't blow? Yeah, I'm sure it's not going to fucking shine for a month. Absolute fucking madness. And so, like, just to go back to, like, the US and just how ridiculous this all is. This asymmetrical warfare where America comes in, drops a load of bombs, kills a bunch of people, and then goes, oh, I don't know what to do now. Should we debathicate the country? All of the knock-on effects of that decision to go to war against Iraq, when Iraq had nothing to do with September the 11th, 2001. And what have we got left now? What have we got left for the rest of us, you know, the Middle East and the situation there? You know, things were arguably improving in the Middle East. You know, I know I'm not no fan of these tyrannical petrostates like Saudi Arabia and Qatar and the UAE. However, you know, at least they were trying for peace because they realised that actually people having bombs dropped on them isn't going to make people come to your city, which is why they're threatening these poor old influencers who live in Dubai. They're threatening them with jail if they don't say nice things about the bombs dropping on their heads. What a nice bomb! What a lovely bomb! What a lovely bomb that we're having. It's one of those blackbirds just flew off. Makes the craziest noise. Those blackbirds. That's the blackbird. Did you hear that call there? I don't know. If it's got sound suppression on it. But yeah, one of the reasons why I think that both sides are probably going to claim victory, right? But both sides will actually have failed. Well, I think America's got no chance. I honestly, I really don't see how America can get through this. I really don't. Oh, we got super chat. Sorry, I missed that. SG. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for your £2 super chat. That's very kind of you. Super chat. Hello all. Here's my late joining thing. Oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Did you know that the Norwegian National Oil Fund is getting money out of British oil since they have the drilling rights, so Norwegian taxpayers benefit from British oil? Yeah. It's a fucking joke, Maggie Pie. It is an absolute fucking joke. I need to bail. State of the world. Stress is too much to think about. Oh, I'm sorry, Gallifreyan Ren. Take care, peeps and pipettes. Take care, Gallifreyan Ren. I don't know if you've been able to. If you're still there. I wondered if there were donations to Tory Party for these licences. Average IQ is 100, so there'll be some below. Well, yeah, exactly. 50% of people are below average intelligence. Need to have massive discounts on lucky cars then. Yeah. But here's the thing, right? So if you get a lucky car and the grid gets set up as a super grid with using all these batteries, all these car batteries, 30 million of them around the country as storage units, it's very plausible that you'll wake up in the morning and you'll be given money from the electricity company, for the energy out your car. Or if people have got solar panels on their roofs of their houses, currently you can feed into the grid, get money for that. Imagine if that was the situation for like the vast majority of people in the UK. That'd be fucking wonderful. What a future. What a great thing to do. But what if global warming's a big hoax and we create a better world for no reason? Exactly. But But yeah, that future, it's not so preposterous. I know we need to do some upgrades to the electricity grid, which we can do over the next few years. But it's not HS2. You know, it's not that kind of like engineering where you got to clear the way. I mean, nobody likes to look at pylons, really. Well, not many people like to look at pylons, but if it's necessary to make people's lives so much better in the UK, imagine like you get your bill. Imagine you get your electricity bill, and instead of it being 200 quid for the month, they actually pay you 50 quid. It's free, and here's 50 quid. It could happen. There's more and more people to move towards electric cars and heat pumps, solar panels on the roof. Solar panels are so cheap now. They are so fucking cheap. You can get a really effective solar panel, 500 watts or something, for like 50 quid. They're so fucking cheap. It's amazing. And people go, oh, but your car will charge slowly. Yeah, well, if you're not using it, it's just sitting on the path or sitting outside your house. Who cares? You get home. Get home at 5 o'clock. Plug your car in. Okay. Takes 14 hours to charge up. 7 o'clock in the morning. Next morning, it's charged. What's the problem? Kind of crazy. Don't drive. What? Nuclear energy technology is more efficient these days too. Yeah, but setting up the nuclear power plants is what costs all the money, and also the decommissioning of them. I mean, decommissioning a wind farm is pretty straightforward in comparison. Most of my power comes from nuclear, and hopefully I get hybrid car down line. Not brave enough to go full electric yet. We're getting close to a joint NATO operation to remove Trump because of how much of a threat he is to global security. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, I've got to say, I think most of the leaders in Europe are shite. I think they're shite. And they're just bureaucrats who don't have any... They don't have any passion for the job or for Europe or for humanity, I don't think. And I think that Europe, and I include the UK in this, Europe's response to us being attacked by Putin is just beyond pathetic. It's 4 years into that conflict now, and Europe could end it in one night. They could just bomb the living shit out the front lines, the Russian front. We know where they are. We've got the weaponry. We've got the firepower. We've got the missiles. We've got the fucking the planes, the bombers. We could just fucking do it. Who's going to stop us? Okay, here's what we do. We go to Zelensky and we say, hey, Mr. Zelensky, would it be okay if we bomb the shit out of this bit of your country where the Russians are? And he goes, yeah, all right. I'd like you to, thank you. That'd be great. And we go and do it. Don't make it public because, surprise attack and all that. But in one night we could end that war. We could. With the concerted effort of all of the European leaders. But they're cowards, so they won't. They hide behind Hungary. So Hungary gets to say, oh, well, we're not going to help in any way. And then the other leaders, instead of doing the right thing and saying, well, fuck off Hungary, or changing the rules so it's just a majority vote rather than consensus, or at least doing something like that. They go, oh, okay, well, we'll just supply some weapons, we'll just supply some ammunition, we'll just supply some money, and then Hungary's coming along going, oh no, I don't want you to do that, and they go, oh, okay then, Hungary. We can't, Hungary. It's almost like the computer says no, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. I think history will look back not with great fondness of the European leaders, and that includes the leaders in the UK over the last few years, and their inability to really strike together as one. against an aggressor, an aggressor from the outside, from the northern wastes of Asia, the frozen Arctic tundra country of Russia. They just haven't grasped the nettle, and they needed to, and that I find that really disappointing and quite shocking actually. The battery tech is getting better and better. The Chinese are leading. But it's gonna be lithium all the way. I'm kind of getting a bit sick and tired of hearing about these new London batteries, the solid state ones that charge up in 30 seconds. See, the problem is whenever you have chemical change, you'll always have expansion. That's why I can't see solid state batteries ever working in the way that they want them to. Lithium ions are insanely efficient and light as well. Don't forget, lithium's the third element on the periodic table. It's hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium. It seems kind of like crazy that people have put out stuff which is paid for by the oil companies, by the way, saying, oh, lithium mining fucks the environment, that lithium mining is exploiting children, and they'll show photos of children not working in a lithium mine in Botswana or something, but actually working in a lithium mine. What's the word for it? It's not a mine, is it? The lithium extraction area in Bolivia or somewhere in the Salar de Uyuni. It's not that. It's like some kids literally trying to find diamonds in Sierra Leone, or trying to find some coltan in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. And it's like, the oil companies are going to start talking about environmental damage, are they? The oil companies are going to start lecturing others on the environmental damage caused by XYZ. And it's funny because when people are complaining about the environmental damage done by lithium mining, it's not really mining. Is it mining? I suppose it's mining. See, when I think of mining, I think of digging a hole. Anyway, the damage to the environment done by lithium mining because it uses so much water in the process and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just looking at it going, have you been to the Niger Delta anytime recently? Because oh my god, you want to talk about pollution? You want to talk about damage? I think the oil companies need to keep the fucking gobs shut myself. But that's just me. Peaky Blinders is, by the way, is fantastic according to the missus. Ooh, I need to watch that. Breaking news: van crashes into White House gate. Driver arrested. Ooh. Let's just say solar panels on new built houses at the start at least. Well, they've been doing that in France for years. Got to have a solar panels or a garden on your roof. That's the rules. Saw a terrifying film last night, Hoppers. That's the new Pixar movie, isn't it? We must also remember that coal, gas and oil are used in the manufacture of solar panels, especially in China where coal is still being heavily utilised. Yes. But then once the grid's set up so that they can manufacture this stuff through, what I mean, you've got to make the stuff in order to have the stuff to then make more stuff, I guess. But yeah, as far as solar panels and wind turbines are concerned, China's just running away with it at the moment because they're like, wow, it's free energy from the air. You just gotta, you're not burning anything. You don't have to buy stuff to consistently burn. It's better than coal or gas or oil because you don't have to buy that commodity. You have to get trucked in or supplied through a pipeline or something like that to the power station. It's a lot of fucking hassle. It's a lot of logistics, a lot of work. Even in a nuclear power station, you use about the nuclear material. Whereas, wind, as you can hear right now, it's free. You don't have to pay to get them. Lithium doesn't exploit chills workers, cobalt and other materials used in batteries do. Yeah. Child. Yeah. the sodium-ion batteries will be really cheap too. So to remember, fossil fuels are going to be important to the making of many things, even if not used for energy. Yeah, but that's the thing, Pagan. We're going to need it in 100 years' time. Can just tell you, okay, thanks for letting me know, Viper. I'm going to plug in my highly high-tech USB-C cutting edge microphone that makes me sound like a fucking robot, apparently. You just can't get the tech these days, can you? So just plugging in. Here we go. Okay, how's that? So, if you can still hear me, I hope. But it doesn't sound too much like you're being invaded by the robots. Um, Hopefully that should get rid of a little bit of the wind noise. Um, yeah, I just like to think of myself as pretty tech savvy. Yeah, I'm the person that people call when the computer goes on the blink. But there's nothing more frustrating. Well, there's few things more frustrating in life it, than when you do absolutely everything right and you set things up in a certain way, and then you press play, you press go live, and then your equipment fucks you. And it's not unique to this phone, right? This Google Pixel Pro 9, which I cannot recommend because it's fucking shite. I'm really pissed off about this whole native fucking resolution bullshit. Um, but yeah, it happens on OBS as well. So many times, been ready to go and just press go live, and then some glitches come up. It doesn't tell you in advance. It doesn't go, oh, by the way, if you try and click on this, it's going to come up with an error message. You know, it doesn't have like a little triangle with an exclamation mark on it on the go live to say there may be problems ahead. I can't think that far ahead. And all I can think is, I think a lot of the people who create the software that we rely on every day don't actually use the software. And I say this because, as someone we've had an electric car now for about 2.5 years, and it's been fucking great. Honestly, the actual being able to charge at home, being able to drive to Liverpool for £3, plug it in at my mum's, charge it up and drive back, and we've spent a fraction of how much it would cost in a petrol car or a diesel car, and compare with the four of us, if the family go getting the train. Oh my god, we're talking like orders of magnitude cheaper. It's just been absolutely wonderful. But I don't think that the people who design this stuff actually use it. And I'll tell you why, right? In the day to day, do you know what I mean? Like, I often think of Adobe Photoshop, right? Adobe Photoshop, I don't know if you know this, but there's a bunch of stuff that exists because of Star Wars, and one of them's Adobe Photoshop. Another is Pixar, the movie studio. Another is Skywalker Sound, which is a bit self-evident, but also THX. Remember THX certified sound, and also digital cinema. The advent of digital cinema, that's all got its roots in Star Wars. Okay, George Lucas made his own effects company, ILM, and then one of the guys who worked for ILM wanted to have a kind of like image manipulation software, so he created it, and that became Adobe Photoshop. Is one of the guys who worked for Lucasfilm, one of the guys who worked for Industrial Light and Magic, who came up with that, and that was made by someone who needed to use that tool to work to do a particular job, right? And as a result, it was the first iteration of Photoshop. It's still now 35, 36, 37, 38 years later, it still has some of the tools that are in that very first edition, because that was what they needed for the job, because it was designed by people who actually needed the tool for the job. Why I mentioned the electric car, the interface, the screen that you have on new cars, and particularly on our electric car, is so shite, so counterintuitive, so frustrating, such absolute bullshit that it's genuinely painful to drive in certain conditions because of the absolute fucking clanging twat burger that made this interface. Now they're going back to buttons, but I do have to think that whoever it was who designed it doesn't actually drive a car. I think they've never even seen a car before. I don't even know if they know what the car is. I wouldn't be surprised if I found out that the makers of Android Auto, which is the pairing of your Android phone with your stupid bloody car, which is the shittest thing in the world. I do think they live in an Amish community. I think they designed it all in a big barn that they put up that afternoon and had lemonade afterwards to celebrate. And I think that they've never actually seen a car or been in a car or driven a car. It's the only logical explanation. It's the only logical explanation. Because why would you have a system where you have to press a screen in seven different places to make the volume go up or down, or the temperature, or the windows to defog? Oh, what do you want to do? Defog the windows. Okay, it goes here, go there, go to that sub menu, paragraph 17, file for while you're driving on a motorway and your windows are fogged up and you can't pull over because you're not supposed to stop on the you're not supposed to stop, are you? I mean, I suppose you'd have to do it on one of these modern cars. You have to literally pull over onto the hard shoulder, no matter how dangerous that is to do on a British motorway, just to turn the fucking the defog shit on. They have a thing where you set up your favorite radio stations. So, and I have it set up so that when the adverts come on like LBC or something, I can flick across to Six Radio. It won't stay on that screen. It stays on that screen for about a minute, and then it defaults back to the thing where it's like all of the radio stations in the world, or like 997 of them. It's really fucking handy when you're fucking driving. And like, no, I just want to have like two or three radio stations on the screen, and then I can just press the. No, we're not going to leave you on that screen. We're going to have to. If you want to go back to that screen, you have to press another button and go to another sub menu and go to. And I think that the same for people who design YouTube stuff like this live and stuff that they don't use it. They don't. The people who make it don't use it, and I think that's the big problem. I think that's one of the big problems in life these days is that you have people in charge of companies that don't use their own product. You have people in charge of countries that don't live a normal life of a normal person in the UK, who live this kind of like they've grown up in like this gilded cage, and they don't meet people from any other walks of life, unless they have to go on some kind of like outreach program where Nigel Farage will actually turn up in his constituency at Clacton and actually shake hands with some of the great unwashed. And I really feel like the people who should be consulted when things are made, whether it's Android Auto, whether it's this stupid fucking interface for streaming on YouTube, can you ask the people who actually use the stuff day in, day out? Not a focus group that you bring in and you say, how easy is it for you to use this tool you never used before? Oh, yeah, it was all right. And we'll never use again. No, get the people in and ask them. And this is the mistake that the Labour government have just made time and time again over the last 21 months. They have just come in all guns fucking blazing, with the big fucking cowboy boots on and go, we're going to change PIP. Are you going to ask anyone who's going to be affected by that? No! We're going to make it so trans people can't go to the loo. Did you actually consult any trans people on this? We're gonna ban puberty blockers. Did you actually talk to any kids, trans kids or their parents? Did you talk to them about it? No, didn't consult a single one. We're gonna stop the pension fucking warming pension fund thing that they give. The £300 warming pension uplift. The warm air thing.
Keep people warm. Keep old people warm. We're gonna take that away. We're gonna we're gonna put we're gonna put tax. We're gonna put some we're gonna put some tax, some inheritance tax on farmers because there's too many people using farming as a loophole, so they don't have to pay their kids don't have to pay inheritance tax when they cark it. Okay, where are you going to set the limit? Oh, I don't know. We'll set it here. It's a bit too low because if you've got a family farm, that it's going to get affected by it. Oh, okay. Well, we'll put it up a bit higher then. Okay, we won't go after PIP. Okay, we'll set a thing for the warm air for the, the energy subsidy for the winter fuel subsidy. We'll make it £37,000 a year. If you're earning more than that, you don't get it. Okay. Did you not think of consulting some people who actually lived through this in the first place? Did you not consider doing that? Wouldn't it be nice if the people in charge had experience of the thing that they are put in charge of? You know, how about we have someone in charge of business who's ran a bunch of businesses, successful businesses, please? How about we have someone who's worked in the caring profession and as a doctor, a health profession, as a doctor or a nurse or carer? How about we put them in charge of the NHS? You know, someone with a bit of experience. Okay, we don't put them in charge then. Just fucking consult them. Just ask. Just have those meetings. Like the amount of political capital that Labour has just fucking thrown away just because it hasn't consulted the right people when it's made a decision. I mean, just maddening, absolutely maddening. But yeah, just to go back, oh, sorry, I'll read some of your messages first, actually. Just wanted to get that. AHH Android Auto, Graham. Oh God, I hate it. I hate it so much. I've experienced of that. The people who designed the user interface of a car system had no idea of actual use flows, and we have to push back on a lot of usability. Yeah, we need buttons. We need buttons. Said that before. I've got a little Stream Deck on my desk at home, and it's got buttons. And I press a button, and the super chat animation comes up, right? Or the show ends, right? The credits come up at the end of the show. Great. Super. Let's do that. Yeah. Yeah. Can we do that? That's good. Yeah. All good. Can we the buttons on there? You can have them say anything. The little screens. So can we have? You can program it. You have a bunch of buttons. You can press them to be whatever you want. That's it. Maybe you have like 5 buttons and a button to go to the next set. You know, and you can go back and forth. And you can make an infinite number of buttons if you want. I'd like that. One of the things that drives me up the wall with one of the many things is like if I here's the thing, right? So say you need to turn the sound off instantly in your car. You know this often happens. You need to turn the sound off. You listening to music or whatever. Something happens or there's some reason. You know you got to roll your window down or whatever. You got to turn the music off like that, right? If you do that with the Android Auto setup that we have in our car, you need to turn the whole screen off. So if you've got the map up, right, the map goes away. The map that you're following to get to your destination. So you got to press the power. And not only does the map go off, I think the heating goes off as well. Because it turns everything off. Just to turn the music off. You got to turn it all off at once. The only way to seem to like mute the music is you got to press the button to go down in the volume. And I've done that thing. And I wish that people would learn from Spinal Tap. You only need 11 sound settings. That is it. Should go up to 11, of course, reference to Spinal Tap, but that's it. So the sound settings are 0, off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And they're the different levels of your loudness. When you turn the volume down on a stereo or a TV or whatever, especially if it's not a knob, especially if it's not just something you can go like that really quickly with, and it's like they've made it 50. There's 50 things. And it's like going down to zero. Do you know what I mean? I've seen TVs where it's been 100, 100. They've divided the audio fucking volume range into 100 fucking bit. So it's like, quick, turn the telly off. I need to speak to you about the really important thing because there's a fire going on. Okay, quick, turn the volume down. 5 minutes later, oh, thank God we turned the telly off, the sound off. It took about half an hour. Like, exactly. I just don't. I think user experience, UX, they call it, don't they? Is so important, and I think that this goes for politics, this goes for commerce, this goes for computers, for industry, for technology, for IT, for AI, whatever. Just the interface needs to fucking work. Keep it simple. And if something works, don't try and reinvent the wheel. They've done this, like in the Tesla cars. I think in the Tesla Cybertrucks, they reinvented the wheel. They literally changed the steering wheel of the car to be some weird fucking racing driver shit. Which is great if you're a fucking racing driver, but if you're just trying to drive a normal thing and you're trying to maneuver and you're trying to do that motion, when you're trying to look over your shoulder and try and grab the steering wheel, there's nothing there because the steering wheel's rectangular now because reasons. Yeah. We get fortnightly graphics drops in Illustrator format, but never any notes on what they changed this time. Yeah. Surprised Apple don't charge for eye indicate and eye engine management. Well, just you wait. There was an old competition on B3TA years ago, and it was the thing was, well, what if Apple made everything, and someone had a car with the bonnet up, and it had like an Apple symbol on the engine block, and the mechanic saying, "Oh, sorry, mate, your battery's fucked. You need a whole new car." I thought that was good. You'd imagine in car controls could be voice activated. Yeah, but that's another thing, Andy. Like, often you'll press the button for the voice activation by accident, but also that's fucking shite as well. It's absolutely shite. Can I get a car if I'm driving, right, and I put the voice activation on and I say call cat, um, my car has or the response. It's probably coming from my phone actually. It has a terrible tendency of calling someone that I don't want it to call. I don't want it to call that person. It calls the wrong person, and sometimes when you call the wrong person when you're driving, that can be that could be a real problem. That could be a real problem if maybe there's a certain person or certain someone that you don't really want to talk to, and then suddenly they've got a missed call from you. Thanks for that, Android Auto. So I ended up no, because so I had her in my phone as Catherine, I think. And whenever I said call Catherine, it would always pick a different Catherine. It would never pick her. And it was just like, and I don't want to have to put, my partner's name into my phone. I just wanted it to be Cat because that's what I call her. But if I put it in as Cat, it just never picked it up. And it would literally just, it doesn't say, is this the right person to call? It just fucking calls them. It goes, okay, calling, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, stop. And you shout at it, stop doing this thing, stop. And it's like, beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, stop. Uh, Frustrating. Yeah, it's killed focus. They couldn't get out of the car. It was two micro switches, no mechanical thing to unlock the door. We're talking about Cybertrucks, yeah, Cyberfucks. China has passed laws about retracting door handles and weird steering wheel shapes. Yeah, they have, quite sensibly, and it's something that all countries should do. It's fucking ridiculous. Someone has a crash. All right, keep your hair on. Someone has a crash and they 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 can't get out. And it's even worse than those Cybertrucks because they can't even smash the fucking windows to get in or out. Um, and a similar argument when I was a shop steward, the ODS work description thing to build a car seat was 80 pages long. I rather volunteered to slim it down, got it down to 8. Focus groups are great. We used a lot of them at Sony. Sit behind the mirror and watch people get confused. Our designers hated it, but soon learned no ideas weren't as good as they thought. Yeah, but my point about that, Martin, is that I think there's a big difference between using a focus group of people who don't know what's going on and are just confused and just trying to get stuff. So that's your first use focus group, and having people who have used, say, for instance, Photoshop for 30 years to have a go at the new version of Photoshop and give their feedback on it. And I know we have a beta system, which I'm part of, for Photoshop, where you get like Photoshop beta and it tries out new things. Um, but yeah, it's kind of frustrating when they add things that are just not really meant to be in that program. I mean, Photoshop added this 3D shit to their and it was just like, no, farm that out to something else. You know what? I need to edit some photos. I don't need to fucking make them into 3D. You know, if you want to do that, make your own Adobe 3D fucking whatever you want to call it. I thought that was a bit weird, and they'll take things away. I mean, the latest edition of well, the last few editions of Premiere have taken away the ability um, to record footage onto off HDV tapes to capture it onto Adobe Photoshop, onto Adobe Premiere. Also, Adobe Premiere really, really, really struggles with HDV. And it's one of the reasons why I found it so difficult to edit my footage of my travels after I finished, because I put it all on, as HD or HDV on Adobe, and you play it back, and the audio and the visual are out of sync. And it's not like it's 5 frames out of sync for the whole thing. It varies throughout the video of how out of sync it is. You play it back on VLC Media Player, which is free, and it syncs up perfectly. But you try and edit it on Adobe, it's like, I don't know what the fuck is happening here. And I'm like, I captured it on your program. It's not like I tried to put it on some weird, esoteric format that nobody uses. I didn't try and turn it into MKV files or something like that. This is your MPEG 2 video files that it was made using your program, and they can't even fucking play them back. That was a glitch that Adobe never fixed. Adobe never fixed that on Premiere, and in the end, they sacked off the whole capture thing and farmed it off to somebody else. What I actually do to edit my videos, I had to put them all on YouTube, because YouTube plays them back fine, and download them again. Kind of crazy. Soon they will have Alexa or Grok for Teslas, do all those things by verbal command. Ask Hal, he'll do right for the project. Yeah. The government don't consult with the public, but of course, Blue Labour get to dictate policy. Remember that Blue Labour looked to Thatcher as an icon. Ryan, I fucking hate Blue Labour. Blue Labour are just a fucking menace. They're a menace to society. They're a menace to Labour. They're a menace to everything that we are normally on the left fucking stand for. Scary thing, Rock would keep having you invade Poland. Yeah, probably. I'm making the UK government has lost its appeal over a terror charging it to a member of the Irish language rap trio Kneecap. Another use of our money. Yeah, fucking crazy. Fucking crazy. Before the G, I said I expected to get 40 to 60% of what I wanted. I reckon we've had that, but the bad decisions are made so much stupid. Yeah, they've made a lot of bad decisions. Anyway, just to go back quickly, because I do want to talk about PMQs, so we'll come back to your comments in a moment. But yeah, so we go back to what I was talking about with America. Very likely in the next few days or weeks or whenever, they're going to declare victory. They're going to go, yeah, we won, right? But I can't see how they could possibly take out every single missile and drone in Iran. I just can't see how they can do it. And so, even if America declares victory, I think it's very likely you'll get something where you'll get a Trump press conference at Mar-a-Lago, and he'll be like, "Oh, we've had this great victory. No one has ever seen a victory like this before in the history of anything. There's never been a victory like this. It was such a victory." And then I reckon about an hour later, there's going to be a salvo of missile strikes and drone attacks emanating from Iran to places in the Middle East, just to say a big fuck you. There's also going to continue the proxy warfare through through armed militias such as Hezbollah and the Houthis in Yemen and Hamas. There's also the worry, and this is a worry, that they could start funding terrorist attacks in the West, and that'll be Trump's fault. Trump started that. They're already mining the Strait of Hormuz. They've already put mining ships out there. Trump said yesterday that they've been blowing up all the mine ships, the ships that drop the mines, and like they don't have to do much to fuck up world commerce to ruin everything around the world. The Iranians, they just need to make it so the Strait of Hormuz is somewhere where people don't want to maneuver their ships. Has anyone noticed that the Strait of Hormuz is not straight? It's got a bit of a kink in it. Anyway, and also the fact that like drones are so cheap now, even if, for instance, America somehow managed to bomb Iran into bankruptcy, I mean, they'll still be able to rub some money together to pay for some drones. They'll do a deal with Russia and say, we'll make you a drone, and every drone that we make for you, we'll make one for ourselves. Something like that. I don't know. And then you got like the geography problem. So Iran bought, it's a huge country. I keep mentioning this. It's a huge country. It borders 7 other countries: Azerbaijan, Armenia, Turkey, Iraq, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Do you know anyone who's been to all those countries? I do. And as a result, like it's also borders some like pretty main waterways. Obviously, it's got access to the Caspian Sea, the Persian Gulf, but also the Indian Ocean. It's got access to the pretty decent access to the Indian Ocean, without having to go through the Strait of Hormuz. You see, so they can mine the shit out the Strait of Hormuz. It's not going to affect them. It's going to affect UAE. It's going to affect Qatar and the gas that Europe buys from Qatar, and including Britain in that, because Britain is in Europe. And the local terrain there in Iran, it favors the defenders. It's a very mountainous country. Iran, like I say, it's huge. It's it's a big place. It's the idea that they can bomb it back to the Stone Age. I mean, it's for the birds. And then there's the domestic pressure on the US, because I don't know how long Trump can keep this up for. He's the guy who said that he wasn't going to start any wars. He kept on going on about how he should win the Nobel Peace Prize. He just bombed the shit out of people. How can you have a fucking peace prize for someone who bombs the shit out of people? And there are a lot of veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan who found Trump's rhetoric about no more forever wars. They found that something that they like the sound of. I'm sorry, I didn't set my phone to. I didn't set my phone to do not disturb mode. Another thing you've got to remember to do before you start one of these shows. Oh God, someone's stop texting me. Do you know what? I can't even turn it off, because I know that if I go out of this and come back, it's so going to stretch the picture when I come back. Oh God, that's annoying. Whoever's texting me, please stop texting, unless it's an emergency. And there's 2 possible paths opening up for Trump here. You can declare an early victory, which is just going to be undermined straight away by Iran blowing something up, or we can escalate further. If he really wants to change the regime, that's going to require boots on the ground, mate. And yeah, but also, like, we've got the sort of political fallout here. I mean, obviously, the Iran situation dominated Prime Minister's questions today, and Keir Starmer was forced by the fucking the Tories, Kemi Badenoch, to defend his decision not to join US and Israeli strikes, and we haven't, and there's a lot of confusion here. Yes, we're using some places to allow takeoff of American um, aeroplanes, but the idea is that those planes can only be used as a defensive capability, not as an offensive capability. I don't know how solid that is as an actuality. I mean, who knows? But yeah, it is kind of crazy that we have the leader of the Conservatives now, and seemingly Nigel Farage, who just 10 short years ago we're all about sovereignty and making our own decisions and not letting Brussels push us about. We need to make our own decisions all the time because we're big boys now and we don't have to listen to anybody else. Sovereignty, sovereignty, sovereignty. Oh, I think we should do what the Americans want us to do. I think we should follow them into two unpopular and unwinnable wars. Okay, doesn't sound very sovereign. Doesn't sound very sovereign at all, mate. But yeah, Keir Starmer's argued that Britain should focus on sort of de-escalation rather than entering the conflict. And Starmer obviously, turned the tables on Kemi Badenoch, which he's very good at doing because she's so shit at her job, and said, he said the he sort of taunted her for reversing her position. She initially criticised the government for not joining the strikes, but then they backed away because the economic consequences of this shit became clear. And energy prices obviously are becoming a major domestic issue in the UK. And MPs are right to raise concerns about the potential impact on household energy bills, which were due to fucking come down. They were due to come down in April. The energy price cap was going to come down. And this happened, and now it's going to go up again. Motherfucker. So the government says it's working to limit the economic damage, and but there was a question from one of the Scottish MPs about this incident where a school was hit, a girls' school in southern Iran, which killed over 100 children, over 170 people killed in total. And a Scottish MP, Scottish National Party MP, asked whether the strike constitutes a war crime. And I would say it does. With the amount of tech that we have now, with the amount of know-how, you can't make mistakes like that. How can you have laser-guided missiles that hit a girls' school? But whenever Keir Starmer is put on this spot of like, say it's a war crime, say it's a war crime, Keir, go on, say it's a war crime, whether it's the American invasion of Venezuela or the slaughter of Gazans by the Israeli Defense Forces, or whether it's the bombing of a school, a girls' school in Iran. If he says it's a war crime, then that's going to create a huge diplomatic issue for Britain. So we can't. That's a really shit situation to be in. It doesn't feel very sovereign, does it? Anyway, oil prices have gone through the roof. Thanks to Trump. Global trade's at risk. Getting all the fertilizer out for the sowing season in the northern hemisphere, that's at risk. So our food supply, energy supply, food supply, money supply, all put at risk by Donald Trump. What an absolute gobshite. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The big, beautiful day can't come soon enough. Meanwhile, Reform are blaming Rachel Reeves for the Bank of England design of banknotes. What? What? Okay, cool. I'm glad they've got. I'm glad they've got. I'm glad they've got the right. The right priorities. The front regime is a crime against humanity, says Diz. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Diz. In fact, you are 100% stunningly and absolutely and 100% correct. He has to double down, boots on the ground. Is Orban going to fix the Hungarian election in April to remain in power? And will the country have another maiden revolution to get rid of the Russian bots and free Hungary? Well, I fucking hope so. Do you know what? We've had Russian bots now for over a decade. Israeli bots. So much of the discourse, the pro-Israeli discourse online is bots. Don't forget, Israel's a tiny country. What's the population of Israel? Wasn't it 9 million, if that? It's fucking tiny. I don't even think it's 9 million. Someone look it up. Someone look up the population of Israel and let me know in the chat, please. But yeah, it's a tiny fucking country. But somehow, there's all these people online that are like, yeah, the Palestinians deserve everything that's coming to them because they had this chance to vote for a nice party, but they voted for Hamas instead. I'm like, well, they were given one chance in an election 20 years ago, and yeah, they should have been given a chance at another election, but Hamas wouldn't have that. Let's have a look. Will it drop after petrol price is up 10 pence a litre here? The price of crude hasn't hit the producers yet. No, it's usually about 2 week delay, isn't there? Israel must have compromise on the US, and they've used it for decades. USS Liberty. I don't think so. I know I tend to shy away from this whole compromise argument, especially when it comes to Trump and Russia, because I just go, well, there's nothing they could really release that would turn his fucking true believers against him. But the same with what is the hold that Israel has over America? Well, the reality is that Israel is a stable partner in the Middle East for America in an area that it doesn't have many stable partners in. I mean, we can talk about Saudi Arabia, but it's not the same kind of relationship. And I think that in the same way that Trump has gone out of his way to make people around the world be suspicious of Americans and not maybe treat Americans like they should, with dignity and respect. I think that Netanyahu has done the same for Jewish people all over the world because Israel is inexorably linked to the Jewish religion, and people who had nothing to do with Israel, never lived there, never been there, are getting shit now because of the crimes committed by Netanyahu, who I think has done more to stoke the forces of anti-Semitism than any human since Hitler. 10 million, says High Flash. Well, I wasn't too far out. I said 9 million. Maybe they added another million while I was asleep. Acting like Bonnie Rabbits, they are. Because Bank of England replacing Churchill, Jane Austen, Turner, and Chewing with Wildlife in a new design, Genrick says. It says all that Rachel Reeves is replacing Winston Churchill on our banknotes. Oh, for fuck's sake. What about when Winston Churchill wasn't on our banknotes? What about when it was Elizabeth Fry on our £5? What about when it was Florence Nightingale, eh? Did anyone remember Nightingale? Was she on the 20? Was she on the 5? Can't remember. I like that for the longest time. I mean, it's almost 20 years, I think, that Charlie D was on our banknotes, on our £10 notes. I think it was from 1997 to 2017 or something like that. We had Charlie D on our £10 notes. I did like that. And that was cool because in America, I used to do a trick where I'd get like an American $5 bill and a British £10 note out. And I'd say, the men on these notes, right? What is their connection? Apart from the fact they're both on banknotes, the fact that they both have capitals named after them. Darwin is the capital of the Northern Territory of Australia, and Lincoln is the capital of Nebraska. They both had beards. What else is the remarkable coincidence between the guy on this banknote and the guy on this banknote? And the remarkable coincidence is, some of you long-term watchers of this channel will know this already, they were both born on exactly the same day. Exactly the same day. February the 12th, 1809. Both born on the same day. Remarkable. But what I particularly love on the American note, it had In God we trust. And on the British note, we had Charles fucking Darwin. Brilliant. There you go. That's how you do it. Um, yes, he does. Animal images are much nicer. Yeah, yeah. I mean that's the same. That's the theme on the new coins. Have you seen the new coins? That like the new pound coin with Charlie on has got bees on the back of it. I quite like it. Um, or is it religious fruit bats in the US? They think they're gonna fly on clouds and stuff. What like monkey and monkey? Monkey is just gonna call a flying cloud, and I can cloud fly. Tony Hart has a lot to answer for. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna cut off now because I've been yucking on monkey magic. Monkey magic, Journey to the West. I once saw a theatrical production of Journey to the West that was created by um, the animator and Damon Albarn from Gorillaz. So Gorillaz made a. Do you know about this? They made a stage show of Journey to the West. I went to see it. It's brilliant. Oh wow! Oh wow! 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 Oh, I'm sorry you missed that. Oh my God! I'm so sorry you missed that. So just there, right? An eagle spotted ray just jumped out the water twice. Eagle spotted ray, straight up, down, straight up, down. That was very cool. Love it when we get eagle spotted rays. They're beautiful. We also get manta rays, which aren't as attractive. But yeah, attractive is that the right word to use? But my friend went to that. Said it's honestly one of the best live shows I've ever seen. It was just, and it was a mix of live and animation. It was so good. It was really good. Love James the West. Trippy Tekka and Pigsy and Monkey and Sandy the cannibal fishman. Manta rays get huge. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So it's nice. You can sometimes see them swimming around the boat dock here. Um, okay, so I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna try and do a little bit of filming today, if I can. I'm just wondering the technicalities of it because I've got to paint the floor, but I can't get signal unless the camera is outside on the far side of the house. So if I paint the floor with the camera rolling, I won't be able to retrieve the camera afterwards, my phone afterwards. I'll have to think of a clever way around this. But yeah, I'll try and do a little bit of footage of us if we're doing something interesting. Like yesterday, we were just the stuff that we were doing on the floor was like nailing it down and then putting a bit of wood wood filler down in the cracks and stuff. That wasn't too interesting. So yeah, hopefully we might get some interesting stuff today. If you want to watch that, I'm not promising anything, but tonight I'm going to try and get over to town at a reasonable time, and if I do, I'll try and do like a midnight massacre, midnight massive at on the channel. We will see. We will see. What day is it today? Is it Wednesday? What do we normally do? Rabbit hole with lovely Rachel. Unfortunately, we can't do that this month because I'm away. But yeah, we'll try and get back onto that next month. Normal service will be resumed. Right, I'm taking my super chat sign, and I'm gonna head back to the house and get some work done. Get doing some sanding. Get doing some painting of the floor. Got some soil arriving today. For the 3 boatloads of soil. It's $95 for a boat of soil. I probably need about 100 boats. I'm not kidding you. Honestly, I'm not. I know that sounds like fucking hell, Graham. Jesus Christ, how big's your island? But you'll be amazed at how far that amount of soil doesn't go when you're dealing with an area that's 2.2 acres in size. So yeah, wish me luck. Soil deliveries, hopefully, and but you never know it around here. You know, people say, "Oh yeah, we'll be there in the morning with some soil," and I'm like, "Where are you lads?" And like, "Oh, we'll come tomorrow instead." Um, but yeah, should be getting that done, finishing off the walkway, and I'm hoping that next in the next couple of days, we can start work on demolishing the bodega. That's going to be that'll be a fun watch. That'll be if we can get a signal down there. I might have to put my camera up a tree or something to get a signal. But if I can get a signal and I can just have like a little live stream going as we dismantle the bodega, I think it'd be really fun to watch. And also, if you have a mishap, you can alert the authorities, right? Right. Mm. Jolly good. Okay, so thanks for watching. Dredge it from the water, then rinse crap out of it and get the salt out. Said Andy, can't do it, mate. Can't do it. The soil under this boat dock has accumulated from thousands of years of mangrove droppings, and the leaves that the mangroves drop are toxic and they kill everything else. So out on the island, there's a few. If we kind of need to separate out the mangroves from the rest of the island. And the reason we need to do that is because when the leaves drop, they're acidic and they kill anything on the ground around the mangrove. Now, there's three different main types of mangroves. There's red mangroves, yellow mangroves, and white mangroves. White mangroves, is that right? Yellow, something like that. Anyway, there's three different types, and one of them doesn't have the same problem. So we're trying to encourage the growth of those mangroves on the island itself, and the other mangroves, the more toxic mangroves, on the outside here. They're not toxic. I mean, toxic to other life. So basically, the soil under this boat dock, under the water, under this boat dock, is really, really dark. It's a really black color. And if you look on the island, all the places where nothing is growing, like not even grass will grow, and coming like this is the tropics. You normally, if you put a stick in the ground, it's grown into a massive tree by the time that you've had your dindins. And but the soil is just so bad quality because it's got so much of this acid in it, and also it's been affected by the salt water. But the rest of the island's been affected by the salt water, but these particular areas are really messed up by the acidity of the mangrove, of the particular species of mangrove that we have some of. We've got all three species of mangrove around this island, so it's just a case of just doing our little tree beard effort and shepherding the trees into the correct areas to grow in, so that we don't have these sort of dead spots on the island. But yeah, no, I did look into dredging the soil up from under here because there's fuckloads of soil. Probably goes down a very, very, very long way, but the soil is just too bad quality. Even if it even if we could get rid of the salt, it's just shit soil. It's just yeah. It's good for the mangroves. The mangroves fucking love it. Nothing else does though. That's why mass die-offs of mangoes are so ecologically dangerous. Yeah, they absolutely are. Uh, mangoes, the only fruit that has an order. I do like mangoes. But there you go. Get a few cans of butane. Job done. It's made of concrete. What are you talking about? It's made of concrete. If it did that, we'd lose all the decent wood that I want to retrieve to use in other places around the island. So we're going to take. So see on the ceiling here, right? So this is Nispero, this wood here. You can see here in the beams. Down at the bodega, it's actually treated pine, which is the same as this stuff down here. And the treated pine does really well out here in the tropics, to be honest with you. So we're hoping to take off those pieces of wood and then reuse them for the walkways to extend the walkway to Ishmael's little house and stuff. Lots of butane, boom, boom. No, no, no. Anyway, my friends, I will love you and leave you now and say thank you very much for watching. I'll try and do some more shows. I'll try and do more little bits and bobs as I go here on Ginger Island. And listen, I know it can be quite overwhelming. And there's a lot going on right now, but there are good people out there. There are people who want to help and want to make a difference and want to make a positive impact on the world. And there's more of us than there are of them. Not the good people. I mean, there's more good people. There's more people with decent intentions than the nasties out there with the bad intentions. And tyranny always falls. It always falls. Guaranteed. It'll always fall. But democracies, they might have a wobble now and again, but they always tend to come back to democracies because it's not perfect, but works better than any other fucking damn system humans have ever come up with for governance. And never forget, Trump can't live forever. He looks like he's on his way out at the moment. He looks like he's circling the drain, to be honest with you. But also, there is a strict term limit in America. I can't see him getting around that. I can see him fucking about with the midterms, totally. And there will be a lot of blowback when he does that. When he absolutely does that, he's made clear his intention to do that. But yeah, we'll get there slowly but surely. We'll get there. We're going through one of those periods of adjustment, aren't we? It's a great line, isn't there, in Lord of the Rings about not wanting to live in the. Why do we have to live in this particular time? And Gandalf says, everyone who goes through times like this thinks that way, but the only thing that matters is what we do at the time that we're given. And I think if in our own way, in our own little world, we try our best, that's all we can do. No one's asking us to be perfect. No one's thinking that you have to get everything right all of the time, say all the right things, make all the right decisions, have all the right opinions. But there's a difference between the people out there who are gobshites and the people like us who are trying not to be. I think that's it. That's the big difference. All of us are shits, but some of us are trying to be nice. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed having this little Island Brew here from the islands with me and Pickle the dog. And until next time, I'll say thanks very much for watching. Thanks for the super chats. Really appreciate it. And until I see you again, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. Bye.